What happens when two polar opposites collide in the most unpredictable of ways? You get a rivalry that transcends the sport itself. Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor wasn't just another chapter in MMA history. It was the whole book, complete with drama, unexpected twists, and unforgettable battles. This wasn't just about fighting styles or skills. It was a clash of philosophies, personas, and attitudes. Conor McGregor, the brash, fast-talking Irishman who thrived in the spotlight, against Nate Diaz, the gritty, no-frills Stockton native who let his actions speak louder than his words. What unfolded in their two fights wasn't just a test of physical abilities, but also of mental toughness, resilience, and sheer willpower. Together, they created some of the most electrifying moments the UFC has ever seen, cementing their rivalry as one of the most iconic in MMA history. But how did these two come to define an era? Let's take a closer look at how this unforgettable story unfolded. The buildup, unlikely paths cross. In early 2016, Conor McGregor was at the height of his powers. The Irish sensation had taken the UFC by storm with his sharp trash talk, unmatched confidence, and devastating knockouts. His meteoric rise reached its peak when he knocked out featherweight champion Jose Aldo in just 13 seconds at UFC 194, a moment that became one of the most replayed highlights in MMA history. McGregor's next goal? To make history as the first fighter to hold two UFC titles simultaneously. He was scheduled to face lightweight champion Rafael dos Anjos at UFC 196, a fight that could solidify his claim as the king of two divisions. But the fight world rarely goes as planned. When Dos Anjos pulled out with an injury just 11 days before the event, the UFC needed a replacement. Enter Nate Diaz, who had been waiting for his moment to shine. Diaz was no stranger to the fight game. A veteran of the sport, he had spent years fighting top competition, gaining a loyal fan base with his no-nonsense attitude and incredible toughness. He wasn't about flashy entrances or tailored suits. He was about grit, heart, and putting on a show inside the Octagon. And who could forget his fiery post-fight call-out after defeating Michael Johnson? "Conor McGregor, you're taking everything I worked for." It was the perfect storm, and the UFC capitalized on the buzz. The fight was set at welterweight, a division neither man was accustomed to. McGregor was moving up two weight classes, and Diaz, known for his marathon-like endurance, wasn't fazed by the short notice. The hype was real. Fans knew they were in for something special. UFC 196, the upset that shook the MMA world. The stage was set, and the world was watching. McGregor entered the Octagon as the heavy favorite, exuding confidence as always. He promised to finish Diaz quickly, as he had done with so many opponents before. And at first, it looked like he might deliver. McGregor dominated the first round, landing sharp punches and showcasing his striking precision. Diaz, true to form, absorbed the punishment and kept coming forward, unfazed. Then, in the second round, everything changed. McGregor, who wasn't accustomed to the extra weight, began to tire. Diaz saw his opening and unleashed a barrage of punches, rocking the Irishman. In a moment of desperation, McGregor shot for a takedown, a critical mistake against someone with Diaz's elite jiu-jitsu skills. Diaz wasted no time. He secured a dominant position, locked in a rear naked choke, and forced McGregor to tap out. The arena erupted in shock and awe. Nate Diaz had just pulled off one of the biggest upsets in UFC history. But the moment wasn't just about the fight. It was about Diaz's defiant personality. His post-fight interview became legendary. "I'm not surprised." That one line encapsulated everything Diaz stood for: unshakable confidence, raw authenticity, and a refusal to conform.
You just shook up the world. How's that feel?
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
The rematch. Redemption and rivalry at UFC 202. Conor McGregor wasn't one to let a loss define him. He immediately demanded a rematch, vowing to silence the doubters and redeem himself. The UFC granted his wish, setting up UFC 202 as one of the most anticipated events in the promotion's history. The build-up to the rematch was pure chaos. The trash talk reached new levels, with McGregor throwing verbal jabs about Diaz's career and toughness. Diaz, unfazed as ever, responded with his trademark coolness. Their press conferences were anything but civil, culminating in the infamous water bottle throwing incident that made headlines worldwide. When fight night finally arrived, the stakes couldn't have been higher. McGregor was fighting to reclaim his legacy, while Diaz was out to prove that his victory wasn't a fluke. The fight itself was an instant classic, a 5-round war that showcased the best of both men. McGregor came out strong, landing heavy shots and dropping Diaz multiple times. But Nate, ever the warrior, refused to stay down, pushing forward with relentless pressure. By the later rounds, the fight became a battle of endurance, heart, and sheer willpower. When the final bell rang, the judges awarded McGregor a majority decision victory. The Irishman had avenged his loss, but Diaz had proven once again that he was one of the toughest and most skilled fighters in the game. And the aftermath, a rivalry for the ages. So, what did these two fights mean for the sport of MMA? They weren't just battles. They were stories that resonated far beyond the octagon. McGregor showed the world his ability to adapt, bounce back, and deliver in high-pressure situations. Diaz cemented his status as a fan favorite and one of the toughest competitors in UFC history. The rivalry elevated both men to new heights. McGregor went on to achieve even greater fame, eventually becoming a 2-division champion and even stepping into the boxing ring against Floyd Mayweather. Diaz, meanwhile, became a symbol of resilience and authenticity, earning respect from fans and fighters alike. But the question remains, will we ever see a trilogy fight? Fans have been clamoring for it for years, and both fighters have hinted at the possibility. A third fight could settle the score once and for all, and reignite one of the greatest rivalries in combat sports. Diaz versus McGregor wasn't just about two fights. It was about two fighters who brought out the best in each other, creating moments that will live on in MMA history. Their rivalry was the perfect storm of personality, skill, and drama, a story that transcended the sport and captured the imagination of millions. And while the Octagon may have seen the last of their battles, the legacy of Diaz versus McGregor will never fade. It remains a testament to the heart, grit, and determination that define the very essence of MMA.